coming to you live from Tennessee, from the east to the west. We are talking Cowboys everything. And you just entered
the Cowboy Zone.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cowboy Zone. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, the Bluff City Cowboy, coming to you from Memphis, Tennessee. Tonight I'm riding solo, so let's be sure to get those comments in, get those questions coming in, and let's make sure we have plenty of fan engagement. We got a big victory to celebrate from Sunday, so I know you guys got a lot on your mind about last week's game with the Giants, and then we got a lot of stuff to talk about along with the New York Jets. So thank you all for joining us. I see I got my guy Jeff joining us early. Jeff, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate your support as always. I see the views are starting to slowly creep up. So everyone who's here, make sure you get in the comments. Let me know that you're here. You guys fuel the Cowboy Zone, so we like to get your questions, get your comments, and make sure that your voice is heard about this year's team. So we're gonna jump right into it as I see the views keep on rising. Again, make sure you guys get in the comments. Also, if you haven't done so already, make sure you like, make sure you follow, and make sure you share this video. Share it to your personal page, share it to your favorite Dallas Cowboys Facebook group. I see we got Mendoza in the building. Mendoza, thank you for joining. I know you're going to be going back and forth through quite a few Cowboy episodes, different podcasts tonight, so thank you for joining us on the front end as we talk some Cowboys versus Giants football. So let's go ahead and get into it. Like we talked about last week, we're going to try to keep the format as close to an hour as possible because, like I said before, I know there are a lot of great podcasters who are all kind of going simultaneously, and I know you guys want to go follow and support them, and I do also. So I want to make sure we get you guys in and out of here as quickly as possible. But in the meantime, while you're here, make sure that you get in those comments and let us know what you think about this team. All right, so let's jump right into it, and we're going to go to our first segment of the show, and that is our game recap of last week's game versus the New York Giants.
Game recap.
So as you guys know, the Cowboys served up a 40 burger for dinner as well as a donut for dessert against the New York Football Giants. Got a lot of stuff to talk about in that game. I know you guys have probably heard a lot of stuff over the past couple of days, and everybody's kind of talking about all the high points. So we're going to do our spin on things, and we're going to start off by going through some of the over-unders we had for last week and seeing if the team met those expectations to go along with their win. So our first over-under we had for last week's game was 50 yards by all the Cowboys receivers. And let me give a quick caveat before I start talking about last week's game. 40-0 games are unusual to gauge. You can't really get a clear feel for how the team performs, especially when a team gets up so early. On the offensive side, they pretty much abandon their game plan and stick with just a don't lose script. And then on the defensive side of the ball, the team that they're playing is pretty one-dimensional at that point. So you don't really get a chance to see what our defense can do because our front seven doesn't really have to focus on stopping the run. And thanks my guy Keystone Cowboy joining us, Tavis. Yeah, it's been a while. Gonna stick with it the whole season and then do some off-season stuff and see where we go from there. So, like I said before, talking about the over-unders we had last week, it's going to be a little bit skewed because of the way the game plan kind of went, but we'll still go through these quickly and see if the team met some of these over-unders. So the first over under we had from last week, 50 yards receiving by the Cowboys receivers. As you guys know, only one receiver, CD Lamb, went over 50 yards. And like I said before, just the nature of the game script, the team went run very early and they were very successful at it. And because of that, they did not have to pass the ball as much, except for obvious third downs when they needed to get a third and long. So they didn't reach this milestone, but I definitely wouldn't hold it against the team as a negative. The next one we talked about last week, 120 total yards rushing for the backs. One of the big concerns that we got into last week was how would the team replace Zeke Elliott? And I know a lot of fans were concerned about us, particularly in a game where we had the lead, as well as what happens when we get in the red zone. And I think we answered both of those questions very well last week with our running backs. Now, we had the over-under as 120. The running backs did not get over 120 total yards rushing, but the team as a whole, when you include Turpin as well as a few runs by Dak, did go over that 120 total yard threshold. So, like I talked about last week, it's going to be a joint effort to replace Zeke Elliott's 1,000 yards. It's not typical for a team to have 2,000-yard rushers. So when a team loses a guy like Zeke Elliott, you got to supplement those yards in other ways. And a couple of those ways are gadget plays with your wide receivers, like we saw last week. You also saw the quarterback helping out with some additional rushing yards. And then you're going to see a 3, possibly 4-headed monster in the backfield with guys like Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn, and then a little bit of Hunter Lipke thrown in as well. Now, Keystone says the run game is still a little skeptical to him. I mean, I can see why you would say that, because once again, this game was kind of skewed, so it's hard to get a real feel for where we are in a normal game script. But I will say this. I was impressed by the fact that even though we didn't have the quote-unquote big bruising running back in the backfield, the team was still able to convert third downs, and they had 3 rushing touchdowns from inside the 5-yard line. So I know a lot of fans were kind of concerned about how will we get the ball in the red zone, and would we abandon the run and go straight to the pass like we did in years past under Kellen Moore. Mike McCarthy kind of showed us he's going to stick with that run. It's going to be a little bit unconventional just because of the nature of the backfield that we have. But when we get inside that red zone, we can still get the job done with our running game. And thank you, Jack Meeker, for joining us. I always appreciate your support. I see the views are still going up. So make sure you guys continue to stay in these comments. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are about this game, and then we'll quickly go over to the Jets game. All right, let me hit a couple more of these over-unders from last week, and then we will move forward to the Jets. Now, this is the one everybody went over on, and everybody was right. 2.5 sacks was the over-under. We ended up almost tripling that number. It would be triple if they gave Micah Parsons credit for the fumble that Daniel Jones had when he tapped him. Technically, that's supposed to count as a sack, but in the stat sheet, it doesn't look like it's become a sack yet. So we basically tripled the amount of sacks that we had as an over-under last week. The entire front seven was dominant. We got contributions from our first unit as well as our second unit with Golston and Dorrance Armstrong, and also Sam Williams didn't get a sack, but he was very instrumental in helping generate pass rush to help those guys come on that other side. So definitely was impressed with our pass rush. Looking forward to seeing what we have this week against the Giants. I'll hit two more really quick, and then I'll go to some of my quick notes from this week's game that I noticed, and then we'll go ahead and hit that Jets game. We're at 11 minutes, so we're still doing really good on time. For you guys that have joined, I see the views keep going up. So thank you guys for joining. And yeah, even with the turf toe, he was still disruptive. The one thing that bothers me about Sam Williams, and this is one of my notes that I noticed from the game. I've noticed it all since last year. Sam Williams is great at generating pressure against offensive tackles. He still has not gotten his signature second move. He's mastered the bull rush, he's mastered the rip. But once he does that move, he hasn't established that second move to get that separation to help him get to the quarterback. Once he gets that, he's going to take this defense as well as himself to a whole nother level. So I'm excited to see what Sam Williams has in store for himself as we move forward through his second season. And then Jack Mika says, what did they end up calling that play? You know, I checked the stat sheet. It's not a sack. So I don't know exactly what they called it. I'm looking at the stat sheet right now, and they have Micah Parsons with 2 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. I'm assuming that maybe the tackle for loss was the one they gave him as a instead of the sack, but I don't know. Yeah, he needs a second move, Jeff, and it could be the spin move. You're right, but he does need a second move after he does his bull rush. He either needs to do a spin or a rip, or after he does his rip, he needs to do a spin move to come back to the quarterback because the pressure's there. He just has to put it all together. And Tavis saying Sam had that lack of move since Mississippi. We talked about it. He was our sleeper. Yeah. In college, it's easy to use athleticism to get those sacks. Once you get in the NFL, it's a little bit more difficult. And we talked about this in our scouting of Sam Williams 2 years ago. The kid still is learning the defensive end position. He didn't play much in high school. In college, one of my close friends was a defensive coach on his junior college team. So as a freshman, Sam Williams came in. He really didn't know anything about football. His second year, he got in the weight room, ended up getting like 17 sacks without any coaching, just getting in the weight room. Second year, goes to Ole Miss. Basically, he gets 1 or 2 sacks. They teach him 1 pass rush move. He turns that into 11 and a half sacks. So the guy's still learning the game. And I see we got my co-host in right now. Lambo, let me go through this one last thing, and then I'll bring you in really quickly. I want to touch base on this last over-under from last week. And this one was everybody had under. Everybody was right. Our secondary basically shut down their entire passing game, even though we had them by 13 points early and eventually by 40. And on top of that, not only did we shut down the receivers, we also shut down their tight end, Waller, and just essentially destroyed that entire offense and made them go to a level that they didn't want to go to. All right, so I got a couple more notes to talk about with this Giants game, but before I do that, I want to bring in my co-host, joining us live from the field, Johnson City, Lambeau.
It's kind of like in between Johnson City and Kingsport. Okay. I guess we'll call it Johnson City still.
We'll call it East Tennessee.
Yeah, East Tennessee.
So yeah.
Sorry I'm late, y'all.
No, you're good, man. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you finding time to get on the show and talk some Cowboys football with us.
Definitely.
All right, so Before we go on to the Jets, I wanted to cover a couple more things with the Giants, just some notes that I saw from the game offensively and defensively, just to see if you kind of noticed these. At the start of the show, let me see what Tavis wrote. I was expecting to see Sterling Shepard a little because he seemed to give us fits when he was with Eli. I was shocked I didn't see him either. I think they're being really cautious with him because he's had like 3 major lower leg injuries, and I think that they're trying to play the long game with him because they drafted all these young, shifty guys. You would hope one of them steps up.
Yeah, I thought I was one of those young ones. I thought I was going to see a little more Hyatt involved, but that just didn't, nothing was going their way. So I mean, you had Deron Bland and Stephon Gilmore both finishing the top 5 in passer rating allowed of cornerbacks in week 1. So I mean,
yeah, and on top of that, and that's one of my defensive notes. Not only were they both top 5, just watching the game from the all 22, you can see the effect that Gilmore gives the defense. Just the Giants kept trying to do a lot of shifts with their receivers, and you could just see Gilmore from inside the field, like directing traffic, telling guys like, you go here or we'll do a switch. It was evident on the all 22. He was really playing the game with the Giants offense, putting guys in the best situations. And I mean, I got to go back and look at the Diggs play again. I don't know if he had any effect on that, but there were a couple of plays where you can see in years past there would have been some confusion, but Stephon Gilmore was right there, like, no, you stay, or we'll do a switch. He was doing he was very vocal from the corner position, which you don't normally see.
Yeah. What's up, Jeff? What's up, Mendoza?
Let me hit like 2 more defensive notes that I noticed from the game. One, Osa, like the light bulb's on now.
Yeah, he's hungry, man.
Yeah, when you go back and look at last year, there would be situations where you would see Mike on one side by himself and 3 guys right here, and they'd all just go wide and basically leave Mike on the island. Now you can see in his game, he's learned to kind of come back around and force that penetration to open it up for the guys on his side or get the sack for himself. That's why he had 2 sacks on Sunday night, because he was able to play off of Micah and the amount of attention that he received. So he's going to be completely unlocked this year. I'm looking forward to that.
And I even seen Mozzie have a snap or 2 where he completely overpowered his guy, which was nice to see.
Yep. Yeah, Jeff said, that loop around was deadly. Shane Odom, I see your comment. I'll get to it in a second. I got to talk about one more thing, and I want to get your opinion on this one, Lambo. So last week we didn't have Donovan Wilson. So we had Marquise Bell and One-Way Thomas kind of splitting snaps at safety, and then Marquise Bell was playing linebacker. When you look at the all 22, Marquise Bell is everything we thought he was last year.
Flying around
the field.
Beautiful.
He was running gaps in the backfield. He was cutting off angles and making tackles. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he did lead the team in tackles last week with 8. So the question,
it's awesome.
Donovan Wilson may come back this week. What do you do about Bell?
Oh my God.
Like for me,
we got so much depth right now, it's ridiculous.
Yep. My question is, do you take LVE off the field on 3rd downs to let him and the other linebacker, Clark, just play with their hair on fire?
Personally, I'd like to see that.
I would love to see that.
I would prefer to see that. And if they're not going to do that, they're probably going to have some type of rotation.
Yeah, they have
the safeties, some type of safety rotation, because there's just too many of them, too good. It's wild how many people didn't realize who Marquise Bell was until yesterday. I had people messaging me like, "Who's Marquise Bell?" I'm like, "Oh, you just now hearing about him?"
Now I want to give credit where credit's due, because we got him in the chats. The two people who talked about Marquise Bell before anybody were Keystone and Mendoza. And Lambo, you actually put me on them also. But those two guys,
Yeah, they were on them
I mean,
quick.
you could go back to September of that year, and they were both talking about how Marquise Bell is an animal on that field from a small school.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him get unlocked. and then this just goes to the depth, Jack Meeker. You got Izzy on the sidelines and can't even get on the field because of how much depth we have.
Exactly. And then there's Jack's answer. Take him off. Just take him off the field. It's not that he's bad, but Marquise Bell's just that good.
Exactly. And for me personally, I have a philosophy about football players. No matter how talented a guy is, certain guys just have a knack for stuff that you can't teach. Like, I don't care how good a quarterback is. You can't teach pocket awareness. No matter how fast he is.
Yeah.
Guys like Justin Fields, guys like the quarterback from Carolina, the rookie quarterback,
Bryce.
Yeah. They're fast. They don't have pocket awareness, so they get sacked. You look at and that's just one example. But when you go to the linebacker position, you can't teach a guy how to shoot a gap and make a tackle.
He's high intensity.
LVE doesn't have that, and that's not saying he's a bad player. Yeah. That's just not in his skill set. Marquise Bell has it, and you got to take advantage of it. And he gets guys on the ground regardless of being only 217. So yeah, just something you got to pay attention to. Let me go back to Shane Odom's question. Lambo, I want to get your opinion on this. So Shane Odom asked the question, does the kicker bother you going forward? We can't keep missing extra points. I talked to the guys from UK Cowboys this morning or this afternoon, and I'll give you their thoughts. Or do you want to go first, or you want me to give you what they said?
I'll share mine. So okay. Just in case I have the same thoughts, it don't sound like I'm piggybacking theirs. I'm not gonna lie. When we had the missed extra point, it wasn't like it was a bad missed extra point. It was like a duck of a kick. I was like, at that moment, I was like, they got to do better. I was in my my fan mode, so I was just like, done. We need another kicker. I'm done with this. I'm not doing this again. This is trash. Blah blah blah. Why can't we find a kicker? Yep. But then I started to think about it more as the game went on, and I seen how the rest of his kicks, he looked more. He started to build confidence. He kept building it, and I thought about the fact that how much experience he really has had as a kicker, and then I started to feel better about him as the game went on. He was flawless the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I think I'm willing to give him some time because that was his first kick ever in the NFL.
Yep.
And there's got to be nerves to that. It was rainy, big time game, Sunday night football. That's just a big moment, and it seemed like he did start to build confidence. And kickers, their game is confidence. Like,
it's all about confidence, yeah.
So I think I'm good seeing how he plays out for a little while longer before I kind of jump off of.
Before we move forward, I want to say what's up to Danny Hufer. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. Thank you for joining. Hope you continue to support the Cowboys Zone. Now, let me tell you what Paul Stewart from UK Cowboys said this afternoon, and it makes sense. His thought process was
that guy. No, I was trying to do my Paul voice.
When you no, it was actually positive this time. He said when you look at the format of the game, like you said, it's raining. It was his first kick ever. On top of that, the defense got the ball first and scored a touchdown. You don't normally look for a defense to score, so maybe he hadn't got into his warming up mode
right
when the offense got on the field, because it happened so quickly within like a minute and a half with the defense on the field, and now you got to kick extra point.
Yeah.
So he was saying maybe that may have messed him up, and he didn't get a chance to even warm up before that kick.
Yeah, they'd have their little rituals on the sideline. You see the offense get the ball, start getting down the field. They come over there, they set it up, they kick in the net 2-3 times. They have their little thing.
Exactly.
And he's just like, "What? Me? Okay."
Exactly. Yeah.
Let me run up there.
We scored a touchdown on defense, right? Let me just go make this kick.
Raining. You ain't kicked the ball in the game before in the
Yeah,
NFL. That's a big moment.
So yeah, Paul made a lot of sense with that. And after that, I mean, he was 3 for 3, so he has to be doing something right.
That one on looks amazing. You talking about J-Ron Curse? I'm assuming.
Yeah. Offensive
That's
overtime.
funny because like the entire game, like I would see one flash and I'd be
Mhm.
like, oh snap, Joseph, and I'd be like, wait, that's definitely not Joseph.
Yeah.
But it would throw me off. And don't bring up Overshown. I'm still sad about that. I really
was
wanted to see him out there.
I was watching somebody's show this week, and somebody said the Cowboys have 2 backup quarterbacks playing defense because you see a 1 and a 14 on the field. But like Mendoza said, seeing that 14 takes some time to get used to.
Yeah. That I keep thinking Jabril Cox.
Yep.
And then I have to remind myself that guy's not.
Well, we're getting everything that we expected from Jabril Cox just from another player.
Right. Just another 14.
I see we got Charlie joining us. Charlie, thank you for joining. Appreciate you tuning in. All right, Lambo, we're at 27 minutes. Let's go ahead and hit some of this information with the Jets. We should get through it pretty quickly. Not a lot to really talk about. Really only one real topic. So let's go ahead and kick it off, and we'll go straight into our storylines for this week's game.
Storylines.
So there's only one real thing to talk about this week, and that is Aaron Rodgers is out for the season with big blow to the Jets, demoralizing considering everything you saw on Hard Knocks, all the positivity that was coming out of the Jets camp with Rodgers being upbeat and being a mentor, and guys just feeling like they really have a shot to go far in that division. And then 4 plays into the game, you're back to where you were last year.
I'd also like to note that it really hurts from a fantasy standpoint when you take Garrett Wilson very early and then that happens. Oh man, but yeah, that's huge. That's huge. That definitely is the biggest and main storyline there is.
Yep.
That changes things up drastically.
It does. It changes things from our end as well as their end for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. Zach Wilson ain't gonna be able to sleep the night before the game. I know that.
Yeah. And then you look at it, you look at this, they brought in his old offensive coordinator. So the offense was basically tailor-made for Aaron Rodgers. The entire offseason, Aaron Rodgers gets probably all the reps. They've sat down and come up with plays that Aaron Rodgers likes. And now all of a sudden, you got a new offensive coordinator who prepared all this stuff all offseason. And week 2, now you got to change pretty much everything and go against the best pass rushing team in the NFL. It's a tall task for the Jets this week.
I'm glad it ain't our problem.
I know. Yep. Just like you said, they got to go conservative just because of they got so much they have to work out just to try to right the ship for the rest of the season. You can't just give up on the whole season after one game. So they gotta try to keep things level.
Yeah, and this is it right here. I mean, you got to stop Brees and Cook. That's going to be a massive piece to their puzzle going forward.
Yeah,
it's going to have to be. Yeah, that's gonna. And let's not forget the way the game started out against the Giants. They was actually running all over us to start the game. So, I mean, that could still be a concern going into this week.
Even with the quarterback.
Yeah, they had to kind of bail on the run, thankfully. But
Zach Williams actually pretty athletic. I mean,
sneaky. Yeah.
He's erratic, and he has a problem going forward when he runs. He likes to kind of play schoolyard Johnny Manziel type football. He just runs backwards and then try to open something up. But he does have some mobility if he needs it.
Yeah.
Joe bringing the bad memories, talking about we owed him a whipping from 3 years ago.
We also owed Rodgers a whooping.
We owe him a couple.
Yes, that would have been nice.
So normally we save this for close to the end of the show, but I got to bring up the question of the week right now just because it relates to Aaron Rodgers. So the question of the week this week, and guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Aaron Rodgers is gone, but this team is still loaded with weapons. Which Jets player do you think has the biggest impact?
Got to answer. Quinnen Williams.
So, if everybody doesn't know who these guys are, and Lambo, I'll let you finish your thoughts. And no, let me just, because everybody doesn't know who these guys are.
Yeah,
you got Brees Hall, the running back, and I could have put Dalvin Cook right there also with them, just like Keystone said. Then you got the defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. You got the All-Pro second-year corner in Sauce Gardner, and then you got the All-Rookie team ascending superstar Garrett Wilson, wide receiver. So, Lambo, go ahead and finish your thoughts. You said Quinnen Williams very quickly, and I'm interested to see why you said that.
I feel like Tyler B didn't have his best game last week, and at times I think I don't know. We are getting Tyler Smith back, I believe, in that interior, which is nice. I'm just curious if, like, right here, let's see. Williams, Tyler is ready. So I just feel like Tyler B was a little bit of the weak link this past week, and I'm curious to see how he holds up when he has Quinnen over top of him.
So what's funny is Lambo and I have not talked about this all week. And I have the same.
We haven't talked all week at all since last show.
We have the same answer. I thought I would be the only one that said Quinnen Williams. That's crazy. And also Mendoza says Quinnen Williams also.
That always happens. It's so funny.
I know.
No, that was just my major concern because, like, I seen Tyler B. If I didn't get to rewatch the game, but just from the one watch I did, going through, I did notice him a few times, and it seemed like he was kind of getting pushed around a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking Quinnen Williams is going to be a whole another monster next week. Yep. So that's like Keystone said, big test for Biotish. And I think Quinnen still has a big impact for them.
Yes.
And that's going to be we're
going
to be a lot of off tackle, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And stay away from him, hopefully. But
I see we got DJ Dog joining us this season. Thank you for coming back and joining us, DJ Dog. I always appreciate you tuning in and giving us your input. And I just went through this kind of through process elimination and pretty much came up with the same answer. So when I go through this list, I start off Brees Hall. This is just me hoping they stop him.
Right.
I mean, if you got a quarterback who doesn't know the offense, I assume that you key on the running game. So your job is to eliminate his impact. The whole entire defense has a say in stopping the run.
That's a good point. I trust our corners to let him fling that thing.
Exactly. Then you go to Sauce Gardner. What's interesting about Sauce Gardner, for you guys that haven't seen him before, the Jets kind of run that traditional cover 3. Robert Saleh comes from that same school out of San Francisco. That's kind of a version of what Seattle does. So Sauce Gardner is going to be on the left side, no matter who's over there. We could put Tolbert in, and that's who Sauce Gardner is going to be on if he's on the left side. So you can pretty much eliminate his impact by putting a receiver over there that allows him not to affect the game with his playmaking ability. And then and Jeff, just like I just said, Sauce doesn't travel. So if Lamb's the guy, Lamb could technically never see Sauce Gardner in the game. Um, and then you got Garrett Wilson. We talked about this with the Giants. Our corners are all world,
Yeah.
and we're gonna make that quarterback pass it. So combination of pass rush and elite corners, that pretty much hopefully will eliminate his impact. And then you go back to Quentin Williams, and the guy's a threat against the run and the pass. I mean, at defensive tackle, I think he let me look it up and make sure I say this right. He was second on the team with 9 sacks last week as a defensive tackle. That's unheard of for a defensive tackle to have almost double-digit sacks. That's elite level.
You said last
So
game?
what's that?
Oh, you said last season, didn't you?
I meant last game. Sorry. Last game, he was second on the team in tackles. So, and then on top of that, he opens up everything in the passing game because, like you said, he's going to put pressure on the center, and he's going to have Jermaine Johnson right there beside him, as well as John Franklin Meyer, the other defensive tackle, who has like 5 sacks a year because he's getting one-on-one because of all the attention Quentin Williams is taking. And Keystone saying quick slants in the middle, another test for the linebackers. I think they'll be up for it. Jack says our corner's going to shut them down quick. I definitely can see that. None of their receivers fear me except for Garrett Wilson, and I think our corners are good enough to neutralize him.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our question of the week. We're 37 minutes. Let's go ahead really quick and go through some of the key matchups that we've noticed are going to be a focal point in this week's game.
Key matchups.
We just talked about Quentin Williams and his impact on the game. For me personally, the biggest matchup that we have is neutralizing the right side of that defensive line with Quentin Williams lined up against the guard center versus whichever guard, Tyler Williams, Chuma Edoga, whichever one's in, and Tyron Smith. That one's going to be imperative to the success of this team this week, I think. And I'm also excited to see Jermaine Johnson in person in the game because he was one of my favorite defensive ends coming out of the draft that year. Actually, I wanted us to draft him over Tyler Williams. So
did he play for Florida State?
He played for Florida State, yeah.
I thought so. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. So if you remember that him and Tyler Smith came out that same year, and I was actually one of the guys that was rooting hard for us to take him in the first round. But we got Tyler Smith, and I'm happy with that decision. But I think this is going to be a really good matchup.
Yeah.
Shane Odom asked a good question. The Jets O-line is questionable. Will we see more of Deuce? In my opinion, I think it's more like last week. If we get up enough, he'll touch the field. If not, it's going to be Rico and Pollard.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, DJ Dog, pretty much right in line with my first key matchup is going to be one in the trenches. I think somebody else said that also earlier in the show. But let me go to our second key matchup. And this one goes back to what my guy Keystone said. And Lambo, you said this earlier also. You got to make the quarterback throw the ball. In order to do that, you got to shut down the run game. So our linebackers are going to be very important in helping neutralize the big plays that these running backs can make. Any thoughts on that one, Lambo?
Yeah, that's a huge matchup right there. I completely agree with that. And along with that, they're going to want to establish the run for main reason. Honestly, they know that Zach Wilson is probably going to be prone to turnovers if he touches the ball too many times, which is also what we want to happen. So we want to stop the run. They want to establish the run. We stop the run. That's how the game's going to get away from them. You force them to put the ball in Zach Wilson's hands more times than they want to. that's exactly how you win the game because we will win the turnover battle. And then we can do what we did last week, play it safe on offense, make the right choices, don't do nothing too crazy,
Mhm.
and just control the game, win the turnover battle.
Yep. And another major concern I have about this, and this goes back to my Marquise Bell statement earlier in the show. LVE, he's good sideline to sideline,
I was about to just say sideline to sideline.
but he's not beating these guys to the edge. And
Yeah.
that's going to be an issue for me because you saw what Brees Hall can do if he gets the edge. And none of
Right.
our linebackers are catching him. So that would be another reason I would like to see more of Marquise Bell
Yeah.
on the inside just to help
That
get
quickness would be
them,
needed.
get that quickness in the game for when they try to hit those edges. And Dalvin Cook's a great off tackle running back as well. That's pretty much how he made his bread and butter in Minnesota. But yeah, got a lot of good comments coming in. Jack Mika says Tyron and Tyler is going to be pure evil. Mendoza saying it's basically our offense versus their defense will be the key to the game. It's definitely about our offensive line because the strength of that team is their defensive line, and they play heavily with their 4 defensive linemen. They don't do a lot of blitzing. They rely on their defensive front 4 to generate pressure, and then if they can shut down your receivers, then they'll bring those linebackers on the blitz. Mendoza also goes on to say on defense, stop the run, contain, and tackle.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was noticing that Jeff was asking if Wilson would be playing this game.
Mm-hmm.
It still looks like it could be to be determined. They I know 5 hours ago they reported that they're hoping that Donovan Wilson could get in some he could do something Thursday in practice. And he had a big workout today, and he's actually considered ahead of Tyler Smith right now as far as that goes. So I think it's a good possibility Wilson's going to play.
Oh, he's ahead of Tyler Smith in his recovery.
Yeah, as of 5 hours ago, they said he's a little bit ahead of Tyler Smith right now. So
okay, so I was really impressed with Chuma Edoga at that left guard spot. He's got a big test coming up with Quentin Williams, so if he has to play, we're really going to find out what we have in him. But he passed the first test against the Giants for sure.
Yeah, I think he only. I'm trying to remember. I think it was 2 pressures.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he gave up. But considering him stepping in like that, I mean, I'll take that.
Yeah, and considering the level of defensive tackles that the Giants have, and Leonard Williams, former first-round pick, and Dexter Lawrence, another former first-round pick. He wasn't playing against just anybody. He was playing some really talented defensive linemen. Mendoza saying reiterate on the line, get to the second level, keep Williams and Mosley sealed off. Yeah, definitely agree. And I talked about this on a couple of posts I made. Edoga was moving really well. I don't want to see him at tackle, but for a guard, he has great movement skills when it gets to going to the second level, as well as pulling. And if you go back and look at that Tony Pollard run, the tight ends made some great blocks, but that run was set up by the pull of Edoga that trapped that outside linebacker. So definitely a lot of athleticism from him, and he held up pretty well in the passing game and the running game. All right. I got one more key matchup, and then we'll go to over-under. We're at 44 minutes. So we kind of talked about this one a little bit before with CeeDee Lamb. Like I said before, Sauce doesn't follow. So if Lamb doesn't go to the offensive right side, defensive left side, he'll never see Sauce Gardner. But who we will see on the inside is DJ Reed, who has become an ascending player in this Jets defense. Lambo, you got any thoughts about DJ Reed? I mean, he's played pretty good the past year, but I would have to go back through their schedule last year to see if they've played a receiver to the level of CeeDee Lamb in the slot. I don't know if they have.
Yeah, and I think CeeDee Lamb is still kind of waiting, biting at the chance to get out there and do something because last week he was pretty much done after one catch. We was beating him so bad. It was just kind of, I feel like they was just putting him out there just to keep him happy. Like, hey, go out there and throw him a ball real quick. He's going to get a lot more targets this week. He's going to be a lot more involved this week. I honestly believe CeeDee Lamb will get 10 targets this week.
Okay. 10 targets. I can
Yes.
see that. I see we got Amanda joining us from DC4L. Thank you for tuning in. You missed the DC4L question of the week, sponsored by DC4L. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you join their Facebook group. They got a lot of great stuff going on. If you're not able to get the game this week on TV, you can check them out to watch it. And they're always doing giveaways and prizes. Everything's absolutely free. You can also join their Patreon if you want to pay a little money and have a much better chance of winning Cowboys merchandise. So make sure you go find DC4L on social media. And Jeff and Keystone kind of on the same page, one behind the other. Keystone pointing out, don't sleep on Jordan Whitehead, the safety. Mm-hmm. And then Jeff coming right back saying if Cook pulls that safety out of the box, Lamb will eat. One of the things I love about this group that we have coming in, everybody's football fans and everybody's always along the same line. So you always see one message come and then somebody will come right back with something that complements what they say. Okay, we're at 47 minutes. We're almost done. We got to go through over-unders really quick. I want to get a good idea of where you guys are in terms of this week's game. And we like to use over-under just to build up engagement, get you guys talking just so we have an idea of what you think about some of the matchups that will dictate the game. So let's get to it and some of the over-unders for this week.
Over-under.
So I don't have a lot of over-unders for this week, but we got to talk about this first one. We've talked about Aaron Rodgers, but we haven't talked about the quarterback that's filling in for him, Zach Wilson. Wasn't he a third overall pick?
Yeah, or maybe second or third, something like that.
Second or third overall pick last year's draft. Super talented kid out of BYU. He's got a very strong arm. He's got some mobility, but the light bulb didn't come on for him at all last year. And now he's thrown into the fire after being in a backup role all offseason, which pretty much means nothing was game planned for him. So now he has to face the Dallas Cowboys. So over under 225 yards, Zach Wilson this week's game.
I'm going to go under. I just think our defense is too good right now, and he is not too good. And I think with that, along with establishing the run, I think it's going to be a defensive game kind of both ways as well. Like, I don't see it being a very high-scoring game. I don't feel like nobody's just going to break out with 2-3 touchdown leads at any point. So I feel like they'll continue to try to pound the ball. I don't see him throwing over. Also, what is up? What's up, J Tuck?
Yeah, I see we got J Tuck in the building with Cowboys fans only. Another great Dallas Cowboys podcaster. Great tweets. Also, great content on his YouTube page. So make sure you guys go check him out, like, and subscribe. Looking at the comments, it looks like we're all on the same lines here. Everybody has under. I'm agreeing also. I think it's under. I think he attempts to throw some yards, but just like last week, I think those plans get canceled very quickly. Okay, so I got this one's not an over-under, but I wanted to put it out there to get an idea of where everybody was on it. I got it at over-under, but which team will have more sacks? Now, before you guys answer, the Cowboys had 7 sacks last week against Daniel Jones. The Jets had 5 sacks against Josh Allen, who's a very tough quarterback to bring down. So it's not like there's a huge variance between the two teams. So let me know in the comments, guys, which team do you think will have the most sacks between the Cowboys and the Jets?
Cowboys are gonna have the most sacks.
Yeah,
I feel like-
Amanda. Before you came in, and guys, get in the comments. Let me know what you think. Which team has the most sacks this week? Amanda, we talked about that before you came. He basically got thrown into the fire, like you said. They brought in Aaron Rodgers, offensive coordinator. They basically built the scheme around Aaron Rodgers' strengths. And then week 1, all of that gets thrown into the dumpster, and they have to figure out a way to implement some stuff that works for Zach Wilson. And got a lot of people in the comments. Jack Meeker saying Dallas easy. Keystone coming like Tuck was on the last one, saying it better be us. I hope it's us also, because this one could get ugly quick if it's not us. And then Lambo, could you go through a couple of these really quick while I
Yeah.
upload something else?
Got Charlie coming in with Cowboys. Jeff, definitely the Cowboys. There's a Cowboys still. You can see the Jets getting some, but not more than us. Jay Tuck says Dallas. A lot of those sacks for Josh Allen being goofy. No lies detected there. I think there needs to be more awareness brought to Josh Allen and his turnovers. Let's talk about that, because mainstream media would have had it out for Dak still to this very day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If he had the game Josh Allen did. Let's see.
So yeah, Charlie talks about the offensive line.
Yep.
In my opinion, looking at the game, the Jets are actually pretty good on the interior with their center and guards. I mean, they're decent. I wouldn't call them great. They have a lot of struggles on that edge with Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
Was Dwayne Brown. You got two tackles. One of them's our age, Lambo. Dwayne Brown's like 38, 39. And then you got Mekhi Becton, who can't stay under 400 pounds.
Right. Yeah.
They're both coming off season where they were injured, and neither one of them has put any good tape out in the past calendar year. So they got a lot of concerns at their tackle position.
Yeah, Mike ain't gonna be able to go to sleep the night before the game. He's gonna be up all night doing this right here. Getting ready to eat.
Great comment by Amanda. Definitely Dak's turnovers in camp got more attention than Josh's. Dak's turnovers for his career have gotten more attention than Josh's. For the people that watch Josh Allen, he's a turnover machine. And a lot of his turnovers come in key situations, particularly when the game's on the line or when they get in the red zone. And nobody talks about it.
No, not Josh Allen. They still say this is the second best quarterback in the league or the third best quarterback in the league.
Yep.
Turnover.
All right, we got a couple of more over-unders, and then we'll get out of here. We're at 54 minutes. So next over-under, we've been talking about this a lot. The two-headed monster in the Jets backfield with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. So over under 125 total yards for that backfield. I don't like to go push, but I'm tempted to go push on this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Mendoza coming with a quick under. Remember, everybody says Zach Wilson's going to have under 225 yards passing. So that means it's going to be a lot of running for that team. And unlike the Giants, if this team goes down 10, they will not abandon the run. They proved that on Monday night. So it's not going to be the situation where if the pass is not working, the run game is going to just fall to the wayside.
I'm gonna go barely over.
Barely over.
Yeah, barely over.
I see Amanda and J Tuck got over, and then Jack Meeker, ultimate optimist, saying we're going to prove it to the league with our first round pick at D tackle, along with a healthy Jonathan Hankins early in the season. Jeff says, "I pray not, but together over." I'm leaning pusher over. I just feel like that running game is explosive. We talked about this last week with Saquon Barkley. Lambo, you brought this point up. I think we had the over under for Barkley at 85, and you said he'll probably have about 30 yards just course of the game, 5-10 rushes, and then he'll just break one for 50, and that puts him over
Yeah.
the top. I think with both of these running backs just coming back to back, I think that's kind of the same situation. One of them's going to make an explosive run that puts them over the top in yardage. Hopefully, I hope it won't have an effect on the final outcome of the game. But I just think when you got two explosive running backs like this, you expect to get a couple of big plays out of them.
Yep.
Yeah, Sam Brown said they're going to rely on them heavily.
What's up, Sam?
Mendoza saying barely under. But he could see the barely over like Lambo, just putting the faith in the defense. Yep. And Charlie saying pretty much reiterating what I just said. Unlike the Giants, if they get down 10 points, they're not gonna just throw the run away. They're gonna keep running the football because that's their bread and butter. And they have a defensive minded coordinator who always feels like as long as they can keep the game close, they can always establish the run and stay competitive.
And it'll be interesting to see if we do get gashed a few times in the run game, if they make that Bell to LVE switch that you were talking about, that you prefer out there.
Yeah.
Just for that sideline to sideline quickness.
And not even just sideline to sideline. Like I talked about earlier in the show, some guys just have a knack for reading run lanes and getting in there and getting guys on the ground, even if it's in the A gap. Marquise Bell is just one of those guys. You can't teach that. And LVE sometimes has a tendency to just run into a block.
Yeah.
Or actually be in the hole and get pushed out of it, despite the fact that he's 6'4", 260. So I just think that's one of those things you have to look into. And on top of that, like I said, their guards are pretty good. Laken Tomlinson is not a bad guard. And Elijah Vera Tucker, young guy, but he's an above average blocker as well. And Jack Meeker saying if Donovan Wilson is ready, man, they're gonna get smacked a lot when they try and run it. I'm sure Dalvin Cook still having some nightmares about that hit a couple years ago when we played Minnesota. So definitely hoping Donovan Wilson comes back to give us that extra boost in the run defense that we need. We got one more over under, and then we'll get out of here. We're right at 59 minutes. And this one kind of goes back to what we talked about with Sauce Gardner. Like I said before, Sauce Gardner is going to be on that left side. He's not moving. If the team were smart, they would just put decoys over there to run them off. So I'm expecting to see Michael Carter II and DJ Reed get a lot of action from CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks. So last over under of the night, over under 70 yards for either one of these receivers.
Over.
If it's over, say which one you think it is.
I'm gonna say Lamb.
Okay.
He's the guy. He's the guy. But I do think Cook's gonna have a nice. Oh man, I'm gonna go on a projection here. I'm gonna say Cook's gonna have a 3 for 57. But Lamb's gonna go over 70. Like I just feel like he's gonna be targeted heavily this game. So.
Yeah, I see. I see a lot of people saying over. Jeff says both. I'm assuming Jack Meeker also says both. Charlie's going with Lamb to go over. I think this one's going to be really interesting to watch. Like I said before, they run their cover 3. So the way they run it, if you watch the all 22, you kind of see that safety always kind of leans towards that opposite side. Sauce Gardner pretty much gets one-on-one. Like he's playing trail technique and hoping you try to throw it over his 6'3" frame and hoping that you can out throw it over his 4.4 speed. So he's going to play underneath and he's going to just trail the guy wherever he goes, kind of pattern matching, even though it's a cover 3. And then everybody else kind of plays off the other 2 receivers. So you're going to see a lot of games between the corners, the outside corner, the nickel corner, and the safety, along with that weak side linebacker trying to trap these 2 receivers. Because of that, I'm probably leaning Cooks because I think that safety may get caught watching Lamb a little too much just because of reputation. And Cooks may break one long one. So I'm leaning Cooks and Jack Meeker and Shane.
Yeah, I was about to
Both bring up
say
a great point. Yeah.
that is a good one because, like, you got to remember Ferguson was targeted 7 times last week. He only caught 2 balls, but I will consider, let's take into consideration the rain and all that. I think Dak's going to target him a lot this year. I wouldn't be
think so, too.
surprised if Ferguson had 70 yards. I really wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. And I probably should have made that an over under. I didn't think about doing tight ends. I want to get this one. But I don't have it. But let's go ahead and go through this one. Over under, and Jeff, I see your question. We'll hit that in a second. Over under Ferguson 45 yards.
Give me over.
Okay, over.
I want over. He's gonna be targeted a lot. We ain't got to worry about the ridiculous weather this week.
All right, everybody. Let me know in the comments really quick before we move on. Over under 45 yards receiving for Jake Ferguson.
Jake the Snake. Nice.
Amanda's got an under. Jeff and Jack Meeker both have over. Shane Odom says our tight ends will have the yards. That's going to be another really good matchup to watch, like you guys said. Watching those tight ends manipulate that cover 3 because they're going to get isolated because, like we talked about, their safety is going to be playing deep over whoever Michael Carter's covering. And then Lamb's going to get a lot of attention from that nickel as well as that other linebacker. So that tight end is going to get a lot of one-on-one either with Jordan Whitehead or with one of those linebackers. Amanda calling the early Schoonmaker takeover. And the tight end group. All right, so Jeff, I see your question. We're at 104. We'll touch base on this, and then we'll get out of here. Can we touch on Gallup from Sunday? Was not impressed with his play.
I almost said over under 2 catches for Gallup.
I'm assuming Gallup sees a lot of Sauce Gardner, so I'm not even considering him in this game. I think they just throw him on their right side, and hopefully Dak doesn't test it just because Gallup may get bored over there, but leave him alone. One thing I noticed about Gallup this week, looking at the all 22, I talked to somebody about this in a fan group, and they said maybe he's still lingering from the injury.
Mm-hmm.
He still runs sloppy routes, and that is a major concern for me. Like none of his route, like if you look at the all 22, when Gallup, Cooks, and Lamb are all on the field together, you can see there's a major difference in the amount of effort that is placed in how they run their routes and how they dig and hit that post or how they run across the field on drag routes. It's almost night and day the effort that those 2 guys put in running routes, and then Michael Gallup just kind of coming off the line hard for 3 steps and then just borderline kind of jogging it out. I was concerned about that slant that Gallup did complete because that would have been another one of those, oh, Dak threw a bad pass. But if you go back and look at it, Gallup ran a sloppy route and didn't really get in front of the corner like he should. And because of that, the ball had to come like right here. And if he would have missed it, it would have bounced and the corner would have been right there with a pick six. So that's just one of those things I noticed. Gallup still has to tighten up in his route running. I can't use Kellen Moore as an excuse anymore when it comes to Gallup and the route concepts. He's just sloppy with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's in on 67% of the snaps. Had just those 2 targets. 2 targets, 1 catch.
1 catch.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of the same this week as far as that goes.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Jack Meeker saying he's saying Tolbert passed him sooner or later. Honestly, I would say yeah. Tolbert didn't get targeted, but you can clearly see there's a different level of focus and intensity in the route running to get to his point. Yeah. I mean, when Tolbert came in, it was pretty much just clear out routes. He's gonna fight the corner at the line and take an outside release and try to put pressure on him. Dak never threw it. But you definitely see a difference. Jeff saying, could it be jealousy? Shoot.
I don't know.
I think am I frozen?
No, you're not frozen.
Okay. Because I was trying You're frozen.
I'm frozen?
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was me. But yeah, like I was saying, Jeff was saying, could it be jealousy because of attention the other receivers are getting or praise? I just think it's sloppy route running. He's a former 900 yard receiver, so he can't be jealous because he's gotten attention before. So I can't put it on attention. And Amanda saying, I need.
Uh-oh. Now you disappeared. Is it me gone or is it you gone? Do y'all see Marcus still, or you just see me right now? He said I was frozen, but okay, it's just me right now. So I think it was his computer that was messing up. Okay, it's Bluff. All right. He'll be back in a second then. I think he's hopping back in right now, actually. Let's see. You said I need I
had to go to my plan B computer. I hope you guys can hear me.
You got a different angle and everything.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my other computer. But luckily, we're about to end the show anyway. We're at 1 hour and 12 minutes. So before we get out of here, let's just hit a couple of keys to victory. And guys, let us know in the comments what you think are some of the possible keys we need to focus on. I mean, every week is going to be about the same, but we always like to get your input on these type of things.
Keys to the game.
So I got 3 of them, and we all kind of talked about this. And first one, got to stop the run. Got to make them one-dimensional. We also got to limit their pass rush. Like we talked about before, they had 5 sacks last week against Josh Allen. So you can't let their front 4 dictate the game on our offensive side of the ball. And then we got to win the turnover battle. I mean, they had their safety get 3 interceptions last week, even though it was Josh Allen. That's what Josh Allen does. But we can't let their pass rush force fumbles or force us into errant passes. And we also got to stay away from Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, that's you hit the nail on the head. Those 3 that's it right there. That's it. So I completely agree 100%. Don't have anything to actually add to that. That's exactly what I had in mind. That's it's got to be the game plan. If y'all got some other thoughts on some keys to victory, go ahead and throw them in the comments so we can pull them up here too. Practicing with the angles. Establish the pass is what
Charlie
says.
coming right on time. Establish the pass.
Keep Wilson in the pocket. He's going to be running.
Jeff, we definitely can't take this team for granted just because they have a backup quarterback in.
No, we
former second-round pick.
We found out how that would go before. We faced the Jets with a very below-average quarterback in the past.
Yeah. All right, before we get out of here, Lambo, the Jets ended the game with a punt return for a touchdown. You got any concerns about their special teams, or you think that was just a fluke play?
I wouldn't necessarily say fluke. The guy has got speed, but I'm really anytime a punt return happens, in a way you could almost consider it a fluke thing. You got to have the right lanes open up. It just happened to open up how he needed it to open up. But I don't have any issues with that. It's not very often. When's the last time we gave up a punt return for a touchdown? I can't.
I can't think of one in the past couple.
I can't even think with Bones or I don't really see issue with that. That's just kind of, I guess I would say, more of a fluke thing.
Yeah.
Or like
all right. Said, before we get out of here, I see we got Javon Campbell. Thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate you tuning in. I know you came in late, but make sure you go back and watch the replay. Also, guys, make sure you like this broadcast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channels. And also make sure you share this broadcast so that other people can see all the great questions and comments that you've been leaving so far. Hey, Lambo, can you read Charlie's comment for me real quick?
He says they're going to come out fighting because everyone is saying their season is over. We have to hit them in their effing mouths from the beginning to show them their season is over. And sorry, Charlie, I couldn't say the rated R version. My pastor follows my page. You might get on me there.
Yeah, Charlie, we don't come on late enough to throw the F-bombs out.
I know, but I love the intensity.
All right, Lambo, we're at an hour 17 minutes. You got anything else you want to add, or we got any other comments coming in?
No, that's it. That's all the comments coming in at least right now. I don't have anything to add other than Jeff loves Charlie. Put that up there. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. The keys to victory. That's it. And okay. I'll do that, Charlie.
All right. I don't think I'll be free for a pregame show this week, so we'll go ahead and do game predictions today also. So guys, get your game predictions ready, and then we'll close the show out.
Gathering.
Game prediction.
All right, so me personally, it's definitely not going to be 40-0 like last week. I think their running game will be somewhat effective. I think it's going to be difficult for them to score more than 17 points on us. But at the same time, I think their defense is good enough to keep us under 30. So I'm going to put the game at...
I feel like you're going to say what I'm thinking.
Actually, I was going to go with Jack Meeker's score 30-17.
Okay. I had this at 24-17.
Okay. Charlie said 41-0.
Man, if we put up 2 40-burger blowouts back-to-back, I don't even know, man. I don't even know.
If we put up 2 back-to-back 40-burger donuts, half of the shows that come on TV in the morning would have to be canceled because they couldn't come up with any content because they couldn't talk positive about the Cowboys.
No, they would just say we didn't play nobody.
That's true.
You didn't play nobody. Y'all played the garbage Giants. We played Jets without Rodgers. It'd be same old.
I love it how they talk about the Giants were a playoff team that made it to the second round last year.
But now they're garbage.
They didn't lose any talent. They
Yeah, all
only
they did-
added talent.
Exactly.
But they're worse now.
Right. That's because we beat them. That's why.
Yep, exactly. Now, if they beat the Cardinals by 40 this week, then everybody put them as a playoff contender again.
Yeah.
And last week was a fluke.
Yeah, it's just a fluke. ETP.
All right, so I think we got everybody's scores in. So before we go, Lambo, let the people know where you can find them at.
You can find me on all platforms, including YouTube and Twitter at Cowboys Y'all. And that's it. Cowboys Y'all.
All right, guys. You can find me on Twitter at Bluff Cowboys. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Bluff City Cowboys. I'm also now an admin on the DC4L page. So I'm going to be periodically making posts on that page and putting up engagement questions. So make sure, if you guys haven't done so already, go join the DC4L page. And also be sure to tune in every Wednesday night, 8:30 Central Standard Time, for next week's episode of the Cowboy Zone, where hopefully we're having a game recap of another victory, and we look ahead to next week's matchup. So thank you guys for joining. Charlie, we saved Cowboy Dale for rivalry games. So what's the next rivalry? Is it the Eagles? Week
9.
Week 9. So Cowboy Dale will be back week 9 for the Cowboys
back-to-back
game.
You got Philly, and then you got New York week 10.
I don't know now, but we may want to bring Cowboy Dale out for that Niners game. It's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, I was looking at that one. San Francisco.
What's that, week 6?
Yeah, that's a bitter one after the way the playoffs went.
So
week 5. Yeah.
So week 5, you may see Cowboy Dale. If not, still be sure to tune in. You never know what you can expect at the Cowboy Zone. Thank you guys for watching. As always, definitely appreciate you guys' support. Your questions and comments fuel the Cowboy Zone, so we wouldn't be here without you guys. Make sure you continue to support, like, share, subscribe. Bluff City Cowboys, Cowboys Y'all on YouTube. Help us get to 1,000 each so we can monetize and add more things to the Cowboy Zone. Thank you guys for watching. Lambo, any other closing thoughts before we go?
Nope. We're gonna get another 40 burger apparently, and I'm all ready for it. So it's
All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. Once again, appreciate your support. We'll see you guys next week, 8:30 Central Standard Time, for another episode of the Cowboy Zone.